There was a lot of big faces, big names in that room. Kevin Dineen, and it was a transition year. My first year was a real transition year. Clarkie came in, and that's the year of the infamous Mark Recchi trade for Johnny and Rico, and of course that trade became very important for my career, and and maybe the greatest trade Flyers have ever made, and certainly Clarkie's ever made. I loved Mark Recchi. Mark Recchi was another one that I came in with too. I mean, this guy had like 140 points one year, in Pittsburgh before he was there. Yeah. So he was already well on his way to a Hall of Fame career at the time. Yeah, it was intimidating. I don't know if the game's the same like that, guys. Like, I guess people could walk in and see like a Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon, Austin Matthews, and you're saying to yourself, wow, these guys are superstars. But back then, it felt like every team had like 5 or 6 guys that were just legendary type of players. We can go back in history and
they didn't move around much either, like guys can now. Guys were kind of there where they were. I mean, yeah, there were obviously trades and things happening. Like 99 got traded, but a couple times. But you're right, man. Like, I was in Florida my first year. Yeah. The next year I'm with you, your first season, and you're right. Like, we had Roddy Brendamore there too. I mean, there's just so many guys, and it was wild because in Florida, not to take anything away from everyone, but it was basically Clarkie did an unbelievable job there because he pulled people that no one wanted and missed the playoffs by 1 point in the inaugural year. Obviously, Vegas did a way better job, but it's a different game too. They end up going to the finals their first year. But anyway, it was, even for me coming in there and those guys, it was a little bit different than it was for me in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, and that's tough too. But I'll say one thing about Clarkie, though. Every team he'd been with, Minnesota, the Flyers, Florida, I mean, he always put a team on the ice that had good character guys, good locker room guys. He had value for them, those type of people. Riley, you guys were ones yourselves. It's hard to it's I don't know if the times are different because there's too many cell phone cameras or there's too many reporters around. But there was another way of living life in the sports world that we saw. The three of us saw, and a lot of your guests have seen too. So, for me, it's just a changing time. I think it's it's not, I say the sport's not worse for it. It's just different. Everything's different. The game has changed. Outside of the rink has changed. All of it has.
Yep.
So I think it's how you adapt to that and, and still find a level to compete as hard as you can on a nightly basis. That's the challenge.
Think of the modern game. I mean, again, from two polar opposites, right? You come in the league and you're saying the Dave Browns, the Chiefs, and whoever else is floating around on the team at the time. And then, and then say, when you're retired, the new NHL, right out of the lockout. And then, today's day, game is, even stretched further. Like, what are your thoughts about, say, the evolution in the current game?
I think the biggest thing, Riley, for me is the physicality. When I did the NBC gig and I was between the benches.
Yep.
If I didn't, I'm going to be honest with you. If I didn't have Wayne Simmons down there most nights, you wouldn't have heard a church mouse down there. So for me, the years I was there with Simmer, and I love Wayne Simmons. He was a guy that was kind of transcended through time.
Right.
He didn't belong in the league the way he was playing in 2016 and 17. He didn't. He was just so authentically old school that I loved it. I was down there and he'd come by, he'd say something on the bench, and but I didn't hear enough jarring. I remember guys coming by. There was every time a guy would skate by a bench when we played. If you were close enough, you were hearing it from everybody.
Yeah,
everybody. The coach, the player. I went by benches when the same guy came by. Same shit.
Yeah.
But now it's almost polite.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, Dog, because over the last few years, and even you probably heard it too, being in the middle of the benches when you were linesmen. And I know they're told to do it. I'm not shitting on linesmen, but guys start chirping and they're like, "Hey, cut it out! Can't do. You can't. You can't talk." Like, it's crazy. Like, that's gamemanship to me. Like, even in a men's league game, you got guys chirping. I know it's way different. It's a way different thing, but you can't talk shit. Like, that's crazy.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, you can't say anything. If you call say a certain word or call someone a certain name, you could be in serious trouble, and rightly so. I mean, when it calls every name that they'll call somebody now and call it a very offensive thing, we've heard in our careers on the ice. So, that's 100%. I think the one thing that I find truly different though with the game, the way it is today, it's not so much the style. There's a lot of skill, a lot of transition and puck possession, But the thing that probably pisses me off the most is to see as many free passes as you get. A guy like me came in out of college. I wasn't like Dave Brown, right? Like I didn't come from the Midwest, a farm boy, where he grew up and he loved fighting, right? Like he loved it.
Yeah.
Riley was as tough as they came, a heavyweight when he played. So for me to be respected by my teammates once in a while, you have to do something that's uncomfortable,
right?
For yourself, and that's how you gain respect of your teammates. So once in a while, fight. Most people, Riley, I know you know this, about 95% of the league genuinely does not like the fight. No one really truly wants to get punched.
Exactly, right?
Right.
So true.
And I saw you did. I mean, you were tough as fucking nails, And then we had guys like Brashear, but that to me is the thing that I think is missing, where you got to look a guy in the eyes, and then with that kind of challenge, you're saying to yourself, you know what, I hope the guy sees me as a good teammate, because whenever you're able to come out of your comfort zone, I always feel that you're going to make better hay at the end of the day for your team, and I tried that. I don't see that accountability today.
Yeah.
And and again, I look back at Wayne Simmons. Some nights, all of a sudden, that guy would fight some nights. I don't even know why he was doing it some nights, but his knuckles were bleeding. He was just so tough, so old school. So I really, really, really appreciated seeing that. There were other guys too, Ronaldo's an energized guy over there. There are always going to be guys. It's not like the whole league's gone soft. It hasn't. There's still some really competitive guys in the NHL. But I think it's the accountability as your teammate to suck guys out of their comfort zone more so. That happened in as you say, the pre-2005, 2006.
I think, that's a powerful energy. I mean, the energy of accountability is super, super powerful, and most people don't understand it. But I think now there's more cheap shots, there's more injuries. I understand guys are going faster than ever, and they're bigger and stronger, more explosive. But you got to be able to defend and protect your players to some degree. I get it. It's not Broad Street bullies, but there's got to be a little bit more of a hybridized version of that. Do you agree? Or
I don't think there's any single guy that played a lot of minutes at a position, whether it's a top pair defenseman or Johnny Leclerc or Michael Renner, anybody, those level guys that would play big minutes, or your power play guys, that wouldn't tell you the job that you did, or Brownie, or any of the other tough guys I played with here over the years. Derek, you've seen a million of them through years. They're always the best guy on the team, always. And they're the guys that I appreciated the most for what they did. That's a brutal job. It really is. And I felt every time, that something happened. You got to be there for your teammates. That's the one reason why I think a fight's a good thing, if you're going in to defend a teammate.
Right.
I tell my kids that, my girls are basketball players. My son's a 14-year-old hockey player. I said, you know what? I don't care about all the skill. It's great to have it. Just compete. Compete as hard as you can. And when you get that opportunity for 2 hours, go out and play your ass off. Have fun, but compete. And it's always better like that than just going through the motions. You know what, guys, I'm not going to lie. Far too many nights I see too many teams and games, especially through this pandemic, just going through the motions, to not get hurt, to play, safe. It's okay to get run over sometimes, to lay a good, clean check. I don't think we're all going to go crazy, but something get hit now, and it's all like everyone goes nuts. It's like, oh, my God, he hit him.